everybody. Welcome to episode 34 of the Hey Everybody podcast, where I say, hey everybody, and then welcome you to whatever number it is. It's nice to have a way to start things, just to get into them. The other thing I do that people don't know about, I have a little preview screen in front of me on my phone here, and I spend like a minute or two kind of getting myself straightened out and making make sure everything looks good. And it never does. And I spend that minute kind of doing my best and make sure I'm sitting up straight and like my hair's not stuck in my beard and like my shirt's not all folded up funny. And then after a minute, I realized that anybody who is watching this because of what they see has stopped watching it weeks ago. And just staring at that preview screen, waiting to like what I see, is a purgatory without end. So this week I just got right into it. I hope everything looks okay. And maybe there's a lesson there to stop looking at the preview screen and stop waiting to do what you're here to do and say what you have to say. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for the messages this week about last week's episode and liking it and stuff. That means a lot to me. I'm used to a much more, if I get a reaction, I'm used to it being immediate. I'm also pretty well adjusted to just not getting a reaction. I play a lot of shows to the back of people's heads as they watch basketball, or I used to. But usually if I get a reaction, it's right away. So this can be a tricky thing to do because I just get a number. I get this many people watch the podcast this week, and I don't get more than that from a lot of people. I assume they like it because they're watching it, but the people that shoot me messages and kick into the PayPal and all that kind of stuff, I really appreciate that. And if you're just watching, I appreciate that too. And if you're not watching, I forgive you. You won't know that because you're not watching, and that's the way watching stuff works. I hope you guys had a good weekend. As I shoot this, it's Monday, and I had a good weekend of doing a lot of nothing. It felt good. I'm trying to embrace the winter this year, just because I don't have to travel to play music. I figured the upside of that is I don't have to hate winter this year, and it's been going pretty good. Like I said, we did some sledding, and I just enjoyed how pretty the snow can look, and now I get to enjoy this brief little warm snap we're having here in Wisconsin. It's not totally warm just yet, but my wife and I, we had to go pick up some groceries. We do like the curbside pickup thing, and we had to go to a couple different places. So we let our son stay home, which is a new thing. And we drove around and picked up groceries. And it was just nice to be in the sun and driving around with my missus and listening to music. And just sort of, it feels good to be at peace with the physical place you are at. It feels good to go like, well, you live in Wisconsin, and it snows in Wisconsin, and it gets very cold in Wisconsin. And you can push against that as hard as you want, and you can be as cranky about it as you want. Wisconsin's not going to care. It might just get colder. And I struggle with where I'm from. When I say a nobody from nowhere, part of that means I live in a small town, and I like small towns. I prefer to live in a small town. But part of that also means, let's see, I was born in Kentucky after many generations of Kentucky Golds. Almost immediately or shortly thereafter, moved to Indiana, then Colorado, then Wyoming, then Ohio, then Wisconsin. When I graduated high school, I lived in England for a bit, played some guitar and that kind of thing, had a couple beers, and then came home to be with my lady and put a ring on it, as they say, and have lived in Wisconsin sense. But I identify with the South because a lot of the art that I identify with is from there, and my family's from there, and my dad still has the accent, and he tells me about Kentucky all the time, and we go back as often as we can, and I feel really comfortable there. But I also don't totally feel from there. And I've lived in Wisconsin in the Midwest for a long time, and there's things about it that I just love. And obviously I've chosen to stay here as an adult, but I don't totally always feel from here either. I feel like I could convincingly, in conversation, say y'all or ope, if that makes any sense to you. You know, at the Midwestern hillbilly dialect down pat. But it's a struggle to always be in places or be from places that people really identify with. Like, people from Kentucky are from Kentucky, and people from Wisconsin are from Wisconsin, and I'm not. And the real freedom has come from just giving all that up. Like, I'm okay being from nowhere. I'm from Earth, as far as I can tell. It's the story they tell me. I don't always believe it, but and there's freedom in that. Just recently, I read something that said, if the cornbread you eat is sweet, you're not really from the South. And for a second, I kind of bristled. And then I thought, fine. I'm not going to eat cornbread that tastes like a 2x4 just so that you'll let me keep my South Pass. I don't care. I like the Packers. I like my sweet cornbread. I like Bill Monroe. You know. And my dad lived in Colorado most of my life, so I was out there quite a bit. And I love it out there. I feel really comfortable out there too. And, you know, maybe that's a gift I was given. I don't know. I don't know why I'm talking about it either. That's just how this podcast works. I think the other reason I had such a good weekend, and this is always true, is that I mostly avoided the rest of the world. I avoided that social media demon and that kind of thing. And part of what I'm enjoying stepping away from is people always thinking they're the end of the line. You know? We have these teams and these sides and these beliefs and these ideas and these labels that we put on ourselves, often very righteously. I happily consider myself like a liberal dude. But there's always someone who's a little bit more than you. They're a little bit more liberal. Their idea about this thing or that thing is just a little bit more than yours. And they can sit in judgment of you. And what I was noticing about social media is that I was the only one seemingly who had realized that. Because when you realize that, you sort of stop looking down on people, and that's really freeing. And a striking example of it was I was listening to a podcast with a comedian I really like and still really like. And he was going on and on. It was an older podcast, but he was going on and on about sexism. You know, he's a lefty liberal dude like myself, and he was just going nuts on people with sexist ideas, and it's ridiculous. It's you know, it's 2017 and you gotta get your head right and all this stuff. And then like 5 minutes later, he said the N-word twice. And I went, huh. And he's a comedian, and he was quoting a friend of his who is black and had a joke, and I'm sure there's a very long conversation where he could explain it and he could feel fine with it, and maybe his friend is fine with it, and maybe a lot of black people are fine with it. But I know for a fact that there's a ton of people that think if you're white, you should never, ever, ever say that word. And I tend to be in that camp. I have never said that word, and I can't imagine why you'd want to. And I just, but it struck me that like he just did this whole bit about how he was coming from a place of authority on the left and the righteous progressive side. And then he did something that like a lot of my friends would never listen to him again, because it's not in keeping with the left and the progressive. And it's just nice to be away from everyone else's ideas for a little bit and not have to worry about them being more something than you, or you being more something than them, and just kind of being free from that comparison, I guess, because people don't realize, like, no matter what you think, there's some area where there's someone conceptually on your side, but that thinks you're falling behind. There's something you think that someone else you know thinks, I can't believe they think that. And it's nice. Sometimes you need that to grow and be reminded of, like, ooh, hey, ooh. But sometimes you don't. Sometimes what you need is to watch movies with your wife and son. We watched that new Tom and Jerry movie. It was pretty good. It was fine, you know. It's a fine kids movie. He really enjoyed it, and I didn't hate it. I saw a couple reviews for it from, like, adult men that didn't have kids that were like, "This is the worst movie I've ever seen." And you're like, yeah. I mean, are you going to review dog food next? Like, it's not for you. Always makes me laugh. My wife and I, we always laugh at this guy who does movie reviews, and he's always reviewing these kids' movies, and I hated it. It wasn't even funny. It's like, okay, settle down. And then we watched Sonic the Hedgehog for the third time, and we love it. If you have kids, consider these recommendations for you. Check out the new Tom and Jerry movie, and check out Sonic the Hedgehog. It's on Hulu, and Jim Carrey's in it, and he's at his, like, classic kind of Jim Carrey vibe with the big voice and all the stuff, and it's laugh out loud funny. Really liked it. And Ollie has liked it for a couple years now. So between the ages of 9 and 11, he really enjoyed it. So check out a nice family film instead of being on Facebook. And we're really trying to celebrate kind of the last bits of Oliver's, like, real childhood, you know. He's going to be 12 in, like, a month. And then he'll be a teenager, and then he'll be 20, and then I'll be dead. So when he says, like, hey, can we watch like a kid's movie? We always go, yes, we can. We'll stop whatever we're doing, and if you want to go sledding or if you want to watch a kid's movie, let's do it. And really kind of trying to savor the last moments of that. And that's one of the gifts of having a kid, is that it really emphasizes that, like, whoo, your life is moving. And these are all just moments, and many of them you don't get back. And I've always been thankful to parenthood for giving me, like, a real-time sort of yardstick by which to measure the years, you know. Because when you're in your 30s, it can just kind of feel like you're in your 30s for a decade, you know. Your knees start underperforming towards the end. But when you have a kid, it's like, I was the parent to a 5-year-old, and then never again. And then I was the parent to a 6-year-old for the first time ever, and then never again. And if you pay attention and you let it, hopefully it makes you a little more present. And I'm not present enough. And there's still moments at the end of the day where I go, you know, I was doing this while he was doing that, and we could have been doing something together. And, you know, I try not to be too hard on myself. But, you know, don't go too easy either. Let's have some coffee. So while me and my wife were picking up groceries, I don't know if this has ever happened to you. You ever forget that there are laws? Because something against the law just makes perfect sense in a moment. So we go to the first store and we pick up some groceries, and in that grocery order is some beer. And then we drive to the second store, and I had to get out of the car to, like, readjust the trunk so there'd be room for the next batch of groceries. And I opened the trunk and I grabbed a beer because I thought, oh, it's just sunny and nice. We're going to be out here for a minute. We'll just sit on the hood of the car and have a beer in the sun. And before I opened it, I realized, like, oh, wait, that would be breaking, like, 2 or 3 laws. And my wife and I had a laugh about that. But then we got home and I realized, like, well, you couldn't do it then, but you could do it now. So my wife and I sat on the porch and we had a beer in the sun and just talked. And I was just overwhelmed by this feeling of, like, everything's fine, you know? And everything's not fine, and likely never will be. That's the reality you live in. If you somehow miraculously are one of the few people, I've never met one, who gets their life to the point that everything really is fine, you're still living in a world, and you're part of a greater group of people. And for most of them, everything's not fine. So, but when it feels like everything's fine, That's a pretty good feeling if you can grab onto it. You know, we've experienced our share of loss and stress and pressure and sadness this year, especially with all the COVID stuff and the financial stress of it, and the, you know, our dog died, and we said goodbye to a loved one, and all this stuff. And if in the midst of all of that, the universe tosses you an afternoon where the sun is out and you get to sit on the porch with someone you love and have a beer, take the time to feel that too, you know, because the other stuff you're going to have to feel is not going to be up to you. It's not going to ask your permission. But, you know, it's important to reach out and grab the good stuff. The other thing I did this weekend that was a lot of fun is, as you guys see me, I play the acoustic guitar all the time, but with my band, I play an electric guitar, and I have a big pedal board that makes all these cool sounds and does all this fun stuff. And one of my favorite things about shows, going to shows and playing shows, is that you see and compare and talk about gear with your friends and with people that you just met. And it's a good way to, you know, when you're on a show with someone you never met and they're kind of a stranger, it's amazing the kind of immediate connection you can get from, like, oh, you play a Telly? I play a Telly too. Or, oh, you got a Vox? I have a Vox at home. And I was just missing that. So I took a picture of my pedal board, and I said, this is what my pedal board looks like. It's what it looked like last time I played a show a year ago. I miss it. And then, as I had hoped, but not as I had asked, a bunch of people did the same thing in the comments section. And on my personal page that day, Facebook was a beautiful place with people talking about gear. And I think as it stands now, there's like 58 comments on the thing and a lot of pictures of other people's boards. And then people who don't even know each other are commenting like, oh, you have a whatever pedal? I have a whatever pedal. What do you think of that whatever pedal? We're talking about guitars and pickups. And it's just great. And I realized, like, at the outset, I was experiencing a feeling of loss and disappointment and lack. And when it became an action, the feeling completely flipped to, like, I got all that back for a day. That feeling of, like, being with new people and talking about gear, and being with old friends and talking about gear, and just making the digital world a more inhabitable place for a little bit. And that was really good. I really liked it. So, you know, I'm trying to look out for those opportunities more. Like, instead of feeling like, oh man, it would have been nice to have a beer outside today, but there's that stupid law that says I can't drink in my car in the parking lot. Instead, I went, I can still have a beer outside. Let's go have a beer. And when I thought, I miss talking about gear and I hate Facebook, I could have left it there, but instead I went, I'm going to see if I can use Facebook to talk about gear and see if everybody else will just kind of go with it. And it was great. And I'm trying to keep a better eye out for, like, here's a disappointment or a drag or a bummer or a sadness or an absence or a lack. Does it have to stay that way? Or can I, with almost no effort, make it a positive thing? And I'm learning that a lot of times you can make it a positive thing pretty easy. And I'm thankful for that. And then the last little funny epiphany I had this week, and this one's real dumb, so strap in. Or maybe it's not dumb. Maybe it's super deep. Maybe it's like deep and dumb. That could be a slogan for the podcast. Hey, everybody. Deep and dumb. So when I was a kid, I started playing the guitar when I was about 10. And just loved it. And it was just music forever from then on out. Learned how to play the drums and the bass and the harmonica and a little bit of piano and some banjo and some mandolin and all this stuff. And it was my joy and my passion and my fun and my excitement and my thrill and all this kind of stuff. And then with much gratitude, it became a career or a career possibility or something to effort towards to make a career out of. And that's awesome. But with that went a little bit of the relaxation part of it. It's sort of like if there's a store you love and then you get a job there, and you got the job there because you love the store and you still love the store. But on your day off, you're not sure about hanging out at the store, and sometimes maybe you even do, but you realize like, oh, I'm gonna have to find a new thing to fill the just silly, relaxing, mindless part of my life. And many, many years ago, I was having a hard time with that and having a hard time relaxing. So the lovely Tori, my wonderful wife, she went out and she bought me an Xbox. And I was never a video game guy. And to date, I'm not really a video game guy. There's a few I like. But she said, you should play video games. That'd be perfect. It'll take your mind off everything, and you'll be able to just enjoy it without feeling like you should be writing a song or working on a record or booking a show or whatever. And it's been fun. Like I said, there's a very small handful of games that I like, but lately there's this old version of John Madden football, and I try to play a game every day. It takes about 20 minutes, and it's a nice like middle of the afternoon before I go do the dishes. I shut everything down, I get off my screens, I put my instrument away, and I just play football for 20 minutes. I sit on the couch, and it's awesome. It's great. It's a nice little break in the day. And I was going through all the teams alphabetically to beat them all, and I did that. And I thought, well, now I'll beat them all in the Super Bowl, because you can set it to be a regular game or the Super Bowl. So the first time I played Madden 25, the Super Bowl, a couple days ago, the music's different, and the stadium looks different, and the announcers are jacked up. It's the Super Bowl! And I found myself like leaning forward and sitting on the edge of the couch like, it's the Super Bowl. And then I realized it's not the Super Bowl. It's the same series of ones and zeros that it was yesterday when I trounced the Browns. You know? It's the same platform, it's the same game, it's the same mechanism, it's the same device. They've just tweaked the aesthetic a little bit and are telling me to get psyched. And I'm getting psyched. And I wonder how much that applies to everyday life. That like, we're told like, this is the time. Get psyched, get serious, get stoked, get scared, get stressed, get pumped, get sad. And if you could step back and go like, it's the same ones and zeros. It's the same game. It's the same platform. It's the same program. You know, you might still have to take some action that is different. But those actions will probably be more effective if you can quiet all that like, it's the Super Bowl, and go like, no, it's not. There's people outside. Little kids in masks. And not complaining, and not getting kicked out of a Fleet Farm, because it's not that hard. But I digress. You guys want to hear a song? Let's play a song. Fair warning, this is one of them serious ones. You can tell, because it starts like this. Ooh. That's the feelings chord right there. This song is called Signal Fires. And I don't think it's a sad song, but I'm told that it is. And it's about what it's about. People have said like, hey, is that song about this? Or I figured out that song's about this. Or I assume that song's about this. And they're never right. But what they say it's about matters to them. So I don't correct them. And that's kind of the joy of songs. So this song's called Signal Fires. I suppose it's a bit of a heavy one. But it's, you know, it's real. There's heavy ones. I feel like the proportion of happy love songs to heavy serious songs in my particular bag is exactly where I want it to be. We might fit one or two on a record, if that, but we try not to be too mopey. Who's we? I don't know. Me and the guitar. I'm a crazy person. So here's Signal Fires. Just get so tired trying to find my way to you, trying to find my way through all these signal fires that I set to call to you. out the woods around me before it caught me too. Now I stand accused, I'm an arsonist on trial. I'm a bride without an eye, but I'm promised to you. I've burned the brush for miles, the courtroom and the church house, well, they fell to the same fire. Ash in the breeze, it blows to the mountains, it blows to the valley, it blows away from me. The last thing I'll send to you to remind you how I waited to prove that I'm through. I just got too tired of trying to find my way to you, trying to find my way through all these signal fires. Thank you. So serious. It's funny, when you get yourself in the right frame of mind, you can articulate those songs and mean those songs. That song means a lot to me. But then immediately afterwards, you're like, ah. I think that's the way, you know, to be able to go like, that's a real feeling and it's a serious feeling and I just had it and now I'm done having it for now. And I'm right back to fun. And to that end, let's do some recommendations and then get you out of here. Holy heck. This band's called Suede Head. The record is called Constant Frantic Motion. Suede Head does like a British soul mod 60s, 70s kind of thing. And it's phenomenal. Their singer is actually British, so there's some authenticity there. But he used to be in a band I liked called Beat Union that was a little more like clashy and punk rock. And then they broke up and he put out a 4-song 7-inch with this band Suede Head, and then another one, and then another one. And then they collected them all on this full length. And even though I have all the 7 inches, the full length has a bonus song on it and like liner notes that are cool. And I was telling my wife like, it's such a bummer that they put out the full length and it's got some extra stuff on it that I want. But I have, you know, mostly I have everything already. And you know what she did? She just bought it for me. Because she's the friggin' coolest. So, and here's something cool too. The bonus 7-inch, which is right inside of here. It's great. So this band, like I said, they do like the soul mod, kind of ska, 60s, 70s British thing. The bonus 7-inch, they do a Fugazi song. Heyo. So that's fun. I really love this record, and in the pantheon of like the modern soul revival, it's good to hear a band that references a different kind of soul. Like I think a lot of the modern guys are going, you know, Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, Wilson Pickett, huzzah! And I love all that stuff. The Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, I have different feelings about any kind of revival. I don't know. Meanwhile, I play folk music like a butt. So moving on. These guys are really unique. And they bring an energy and a spirit to it. Listen to I Believe in Love, and you'll have a better day. Next. Chicago Farmer. This record is called Flyover Country. I love this record. I love this band. I love this guy. We've played together a couple times, and it was just a blast. And we got along well, and I really enjoy his music and his show and his vibe. And Met his wife a couple times. She's lovely. Just a great folk country record, but in the spirit of a Todd Snyder, a John Prine. Like, there's a lot of wisdom in it, but there's a lot of humor in it, and I think you'll dig it. Listen to Deer in the Sky if you're afraid of flying like I was. It cured me. I had to learn how to play it and walk around the house singing it like a conversion therapy or something, from a guy who was afraid to fly to a guy who's not. By the way, that's the only kind of conversion therapy worth a damn. Anyways, you could also listen to $13 Beers, because that's funny and wonderful and kind of true. I hope you like it. And then, oops, had a lot of coffee today, you can probably tell, especially towards the end here. Several months ago, I watched a documentary on Netflix called The Two Killings of Sam Cooke, and it was wonderful. And then I talked about it on Facebook, and then a couple days ago, a very good friend of mine texted me one night, and he said, I just watched that Sam Cooke documentary, and then we had a nice back and forth about it. It's something else. He was something else. He was a gift to the world that the world seemingly did not deserve, or at least some people in the world didn't deserve. And I shudder to think what the world would have been like had we had him a little bit longer. But there's a lot about Sam Cooke that a lot of people don't know that you'll learn in this documentary that like I said, I saw it on Netflix. I think it's still there. And it's really, 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 really good. I felt inspired. I felt angry. And I think that's important. I think I talk a lot on the podcast about feeling good and feeling content and feeling joyful and trying to feel some peace, but not at the expense of a right and honest perspective on the world. Sometimes you should be angry, and sometimes you should be sad. And the thing about this documentary and about Sam Cooke's music is that, and his life, is that it will tap into all those things. So I can't recommend it highly enough. And as an added bonus, in that documentary, you'll learn a lot about this record. It's called One Night Stand! Sam Cooke live at the Harlem Square Club. This is probably my favorite live record of all time. Some people come close. The Clash comes close. The Clash comes close. Yeah, I did it. And obviously Johnny Cash. But this is the one. This is the proper way to hear Sam Cooke perform. And you can't mess with this track listing either. You know what I mean? You're going to get Bring It On Home to Me. You're going to get Chain Gang. You're going to get Having a Party. Come on, man. Twisting the Night Away. Whew. So, check out The Two Killings of Sam Cooke and listen to Sam Cooke live at the Harlem Square Club. And be nice. Don't be... I'm about to try to start talking about racism, and I'm going to hold myself back because it doesn't make any sense, and I don't understand it. And my hope is that if you've lived that way, or were raised that way, or have those feelings, my hope is that some of the other things that we talk about here, you'll realize like those are pretty good, and they don't coexist well with hate and racism and transphobia and homophobia and sexism and all that. So let that go, and let the world get better, and then you'll get better, and then the world will get better, and then you'll get better, and everything will just get better. And you can listen to Sam Cooke, and you'll be happier. There you go. I think that's it. I think we went a little long. I don't think I care that much. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for the support. Tell a friend, and the info, if you want to support the podcast, is available. You know, go to my website, whatever. Listen to some music. Listen to Sam Cooke. Be nice. Be good to yourself. Be good to the world. And we'll see you next time. Bye.